Hey, so this is part two to the video I just posted about mask versus no mask, which is better, which is superior, whatever you want to call it. And so, literally, right after I got done filming that, I was like, you know what? I need to kind of write down and methodically go through every possible scenario that someone could choose related to, and all the combinations related to wearing a mask, touching face, and washing your hands. So I figured, and I did all the combinations I could. I wrote it down here. There's actually 8 combinations. So there's 4 no mask combinations and 4 mask combinations. And the reason I'm doing this is because I wanted to go through each scenario, say, okay, if you wear a mask, if you wash your hands, and you don't touch your face, that's best case scenario. And then second best is blah, 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 blah. So there's 8 scenarios here. So I was kind of breaking down because I wanted to explain how people are harping on others for the mask itself, where there are actually 3 variables here, or 6 really: mask, no mask, hand washing, not hand washing, touching face, not touching face. So I went through all the different combinations here to kind of break down each one individually and the pros and cons of each one. And this is just from critical thinking or just from general knowledge of touching your face and the guidelines that they've been proposing. So scenario number 1 is not wearing a mask, not washing your hands, and touching your face. To me, this is like the worst combination possible, right? And I look at this and I say, okay, out of the 3, everyone is able to control if they touch their face and if they wash their hands. Pretty much everyone can do that, right? Touching your face, as I'm touching my face, I just wash my hands, so I'm fine. But touching your face is the thing that everyone can do and can control without completely abandoning their entire life's work, right? If that makes sense. You can touch your face if you wash your hands right before, right? So if you need to put makeup on, you just wash your face or wash whatever, or blow your nose, pick your nose, whatever you want to say, itch, scratch. If you wash your hands before that, then touching your face isn't as bad, right? And in that case, the mask is kind of like not even a part of the conversation because it's useless. If you need to touch your face, you need to wash your hands first, right? So the mask in that case isn't even working. So that was actually scenario number 3. No mask, hand washing, touching face. I think that makes sense. As long as after you touch your face, you wash your hands too, because you're going to go touching other surfaces. So I think that's kind of the caveat there. So that's kind of scenario 1 and 3. Scenario 2 was no mask, no hand washing, no touching your face. To me, this is actually a bad one. Now, maybe you're not spreading your germs because you're not, well, you are because you're breathing out, right? Because you're not wearing a mask. But you're not touching your face as much because you don't have your mask on, so you're not adjusting it. So that's a little bit easier. But no hand washing is a problem to me because you could be carrying someone's germs, let's say from the grocery store where you're touching product, to the door, to your car, then into your house, and then on everything, right? So that could be a problem if you're not washing your hands or sanitizing for that one. And in that case, the mask, if you're not wearing a mask and you're hand washing, if you're not wearing a mask, you're not hand washing, and you're not touching your face, in that case, you may be like spreading someone else's germs, basically, is what I was trying to say. And the mask in that case might actually help you because you're not hand washing. The no mask might help you because you're not hand washing, so you're not adjusting your mask as much. So I think that's a good one. So scenario number 4, sorry, there's a lot of variables going on here, is no mask, hand washing, no touching your face. To me, this is the one I've been practicing. I don't feel comfortable wearing a mask. I think I would be touching my face even more if I was wearing a mask. I'm respectful of social distancing, so I don't feel like I need to crowd people. I don't normally do that anyway. I am a normal, frequent hand washer. Every time I get in the house, I wash my hands. When I'm any place I feel like I need to wash my hands, I'm just doing it more now. And no touching your face. I'm just more conscious of it now to not touch my face. It's just part of our life now. In this case, the only thing I'm really doing wrong, you should say, is when I'm talking, if I'm not wearing a mask, it is being spread to the stuff nearby me. But if everyone is washing their hands and not touching their face and respecting the social distancing part of things like 6 feet, then it shouldn't be a big problem, right? So that was the no mask scenarios. Now the mask scenarios. You're going to find that they're very, very similar to the ones I just talked about, where the mask isn't as big of a scenario or a big of a factor as we think. Of course, the mask does prevent you from spreading your germs when you're talking, or if you have to sneeze or whatever, but that's why we do this kind of thing, right? But if you're doing the hand washing and not touching your face, then that doesn't really matter at the end of the day, right? As much. So mask, no hand washing, touching face, of course. If you're wearing a mask but you're touching your face and you're not washing your hands, it kind of defeats the purpose of the mask. Scenario number 6, that was scenario 5. Scenario number 6, mask, no hand washing, no touching face. You're wearing a mask which is not spreading your germs as far, but you're not washing your hands, so you're actually transferring germs from one place to another by touching different surfaces, but you're not touching your face. So you're good because you're not touching your face and you're not spreading your germs as much, but you're transferring other people's potentially. So there we go. Scenario number 7 is you're wearing a mask, you're hand washing, but you're touching your face. So this is an interesting one. Depends when you wash your hands, right? If you wash your hands right before touching your face, you're good. If you wash your hands right after touching your face, you're good. But if you do one but not the other, then, or if you don't wash your hands before touching your face, then you're potentially infecting yourself. And if you don't wash your hands after touching your face, you're potentially spreading it to other people. So this is where hand washing and touching your face are in sequence are important. And finally, scenario number 8 is mask, hand washing, no touching face. Clearly, this is the overall best one because you're not spreading your germs out. You're making sure you're not spreading your germs between people, and you're making sure you're not giving the germs to yourself. I understand people when they emphasize the mask, but if you are wearing a mask and you're not hand washing and you're touching your face to adjust the mask or whatever it is before you wash your hands, it's all useless. So I just wanted to come on here, go through each scenario, and kind of even out and kind of bring everyone to the center who are either on the side of everyone needs to wear a mask or else you want people to die, or no one should wear a mask, who cares, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's somewhere in the middle. It's where you can wear a mask, but if you're not doing it properly and you're not taking other precautions, it's basically useless. If you are not wearing a mask and you're not taking other precautions, it's bad too. So I just wanted to kind of clear the air and give it a little bit of a different light to the situation going on here, because I've been seeing a lot of comments of people literally ridiculing people for living their life as normal as possible, but still implementing social distancing and deciding to wear a mask or not to wear a mask, but still taking precautions. And there's this idea out there that if you are just wearing a mask, that you are like a saint and you're the ones that are in one class versus the non-mask wearing people, and that you somehow are more caring, more whatever, you care about others more than the people who don't wear a mask, which is completely kind of BS and not true. And I just debunked it right here. If you are not hand washing and touching your face. So really, I think we should be harping on people for touching their faces and not washing their hands right before doing it. That would be, I think, more of a reasonable thing to get mad about with people. But I think because the reason I think this is happening is because the mask is such a prominent thing, and our society, at least in America, is not used to people wearing masks during like pandemics or epidemics or flu season or whatever, which I think it'll change, which will be a good thing. But that it's easier to point out someone not wearing a mask or wearing a mask versus literally looking at someone 24/7 and seeing how many times they touch their face, or following someone and seeing if they're washing their hands or not. To me, that's a lot harder to track. So I think that's why people are gravitating towards the mask thing being the make or break scenario here. But I just wanted to shed a light on this, and I hope this gave a little more calm to people who maybe were stressed out seeing people not wearing masks, and maybe gives a light to and a little bit of a heads up to people who are wearing the masks to make sure that they're doing the hand washing and not touching their face and the social distancing. So I just wanted to come here and give in my 2 cents and maybe give some calm with some reasoning and some logic and some just laying it out for you, to kind of ease your nerves, because I think that's kind of my role I've found in this whole situation, is to kind of calm people down, get people back to kind of an even keel, because long term it's actually worse to be really stressed and just completely out of your mind, because I was in that phase for a little bit and I finally just turned everything off for a second, put the comments down, and was like, okay, we're here. So I wanted to share that with you. Thank you so much for hearing me out. I know that there's so many variables in this, but just think about it. I know it's easy to kind of let all of our emotions take over, but it's always good to use logic and reason and think it all through. So I will talk to you in the next one.